Michael, where you at? Can't see you. Let's see. Huh, he was here, now he's left. What's going on, everybody? We had to have a cancel this morning, but we're going to get them back on. It's good to see everybody. Just going to wait for Michael Muir to get on here. He was on here a minute ago. Let's see. Go out and come back. I saw you. All right. Let's see where he's at. These shows resonate with you, please share. I'm going to share into the Soulogy network right now. And let's see. Hang on. Share. Sorry for the delay. Got 30 people in the house. Thank you for coming in. Thank you for continued love and support and contributions to keep us going. We're all in this together. Let me just share to the Soulogy group. And if you guys could share to one page, one group, that'd be awesome. As we're getting a little bit suppressed by social media. All right, let me see if he's back. Okay, there we go. There he is. All right, here we go. Hey, Kiwi. All right. Here we go. There you go.
Okay.
What's happening?
Oh my gosh, excitement.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. You okay? Can you hear? Can you see?
Yeah, I can see you fine. What's been going on? What's going on in the front line of the apocalypse in Australia?
My God, it's a bit smoky here. Yeah.
Well, yeah, you're on the West Coast, right? You're over there.
It's been pretty bad.
It's been like that for a while too, hasn't it?
Maybe about 6-8 weeks. It's been about 2 months, and it's sort of predicted pretty much on and off for the whole of summer here.
Really?
That it's going to be. It was really, really smoky in the city one day last week. In the city, it's not too bad, but just out of the city and in up the coast, in the East Coast, it's pretty bad. You know, it's. I think it's also derailing a lot of people, and the media, the way the media is actually handling it, is also inflaming the whole situation. You know, as they do.
Well, that's part of what we're having to detach from is the programming that they're putting out there. It's not so much the events, but it's the consciousness they're trying to implant and expand. The you, me, we, and it. I mean, because we all know it's perfect. But that's a good point. I saw an article about a week ago when that volcano went off in New Zealand, and there was a Maori spirit leader, 51, 52-year-old guy, and he was just talking about how this is going to happen. You know, how the earth is going to purge, and you know all the things that go along with that. So some of this.
And that's what I mean. I've been doing some group work here in Sydney and on the coast, and that's what we've been getting. That it's really very much a cleanse. You know, it needs. You know, the earth has to cleanse. We all have to purify. We're all doing our bit, and it's not always easy, but it may not be. You know. It may not be Armageddon either. You know what I mean?
I don't think there is an Armageddon, really.
Although
I was talking to someone today who's I consider extremely high vibrational, pretty quiet. She's been on the show once, but she's pretty quiet. She's been doing this work for in depth for like 2 or 3 years. I mean, when she really ramped it up, grid work, stuff in the ethers, and so on. And then with some intel that I got last night, Morgan and I, we did our normal thing at last night. We had incredible experiences last night. One of the things that came in was that they were showing me how in the third and fourth dimension, or this trip, that at the end of this trip you have to choose which polarity you're going to go to.
Yes.
And so what happens is you take that path, and then I think it goes, I think 4th, 5th, and maybe by the 6th, there's no longer two paths. There's only one. So they're all going to come back. But what it was basically saying is that some have come down from a higher dimension, incarnated in the body, because the imbalance of the negativity, so to speak, was so severe that they were just like, you know, we got to go in there and fix it. But what she was telling me was that, and I've heard this before too, was that because it was so intense down here, they thought about just doing away with it, you know, and just getting rid of it. But I think, as she told me this morning, and I've heard other people talk about, it's too late now. We've flipped it. We're past the tipping point, and it's just a matter of playing it out now.
I mean, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people still talk about the solar flash and the burning off of the asteroid or whatever that's coming, and I feel that similarly, that is the information I get, is that we're already well on the way to not needing to have that to happen, and that we've already joined a different timeline, and that that really the sort of chaos that is playing out in the generalized collective is nothing to be too concerned about. It is it's really just what needs to happen for the shadow energies to be released more fully, and more people to awaken. And I've been I guess guided to but very much by the Palladians at the moment. They feel very strong with me, and to really we're really just again, it just feels like really focused, not to forget the outside world, and that we're part of it, and that we're all in it together in a collective consciousness, but also to be really inward sometimes and really work on your vessel, really work on the purification of your light body, raising your vibration. And I feel that this window between the 12/12 and the solstice is really a powerful sort of opening, downloads, information, energetically more than in the conscious mind, cognitively. And this is energy that is coming to really spark and remember more and more, not just the people that are doing the work, the starseeds, the galactic counterparts on the earth, but also many more people. I feel like by March time, I think that's when a lot more people will start remembering stuff, and that will really be needed even more to sort as ground crew to support this this emergence of new people on the ascension path. So it feels like at the 12/12 workshop I just did in Sydney, it was really all about reclaiming energies that have been split off from the past, that through the multidimensional template that was including very much the Palladian timeline, and also working with I know a lot of people in the community have been talking about the divine feminine, divine mother, working with that energy, but also to really support the divine masculine right now. That this energy, that the divine masculine is really now needing a hand to hold, and really to help to support their and that energy, whether you're in a male or female body, to I think come into greater alignment with the heart, and also a lot of releasing of core guilt, shame, a lot of forgiveness needing to be brought through. And this is mainly not just from stuff in our lives this time, but just the system that we've been living in for quite some time.
And if you go back 2-3 years, you know, I remember 2-3 years, that's about right. And there was a lot of talk then of earthquakes, and there was a lot of fires, and I remember there would be people putting stuff out that said, hey, we can actually reduce the you know, catastrophic effect of some of the stuff, and with hurricanes too. Remember that? I mean, you actually saw that stuff happening. So the people that I talked to, of course, they come from all walks of life on the show, and even like recently talking to this 27-year-old Joshua Pearson. He's been on 3 times in the last 3 weeks, and he was talking, and he was talking about the energies and the history and the energetic galactic wars and this and that.
Yes.
And some of the energies that were working, let's just say, against us. And I asked him, like I've asked many others, and they all pretty much say the same thing,
Mm.
you know, the quarantine was lifted or whatever the narrative is, it's all saying the same thing, which at the end of the day is that something's been freed up. We've been freed up now. You know, Franco Di Nicola talks about the inverted 3D is no longer being projected after the 21st. So there's all things seem to point towards pure elevation at this point. Once that choice is made by each and every one of us, which way we want to go with it. That's, and there's nothing wrong with either one of them. It's just a matter of, do you want a smooth ride or a bumpy ride? But yeah, I think now one of the things you brought up too that we haven't talked about recently, but it came up yesterday or the day before one of the shows again.
Sure.
Somebody who started talking about the event or the flash again, and then I actually for some reason was watching some videos last night, and I was watching one with Corey Good, which I don't usually watch too much, anybody really, but the reason I was watching it because it was in a like a small setting with like 20-25 people, and he was talking about the role of starseeds, and he was but he mentioned the flash. He didn't go into depth about it, but what are your thoughts on that? You know, around September, October, August of last year, people were like, oh, the flash is going to be here. I mean, this year the flash is going to come, and all these predictions were made, and then now you don't see anybody talking about it.
Yeah.
So,
and that's the thing. I mean, it came back into my awareness recently through connections that I have, because they were actually bringing it up, and it was around the Cosmic Secret. I don't know if you've heard of that movie. It's I think it's a Cosmic Secret. It's a US. I think it's a US based movie with David Wilcox and Corey Good. I think.
Oh, you're talking about Cosmic Disclosure.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, I watched that a while back. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's I do feel that, you know, I feel like we've actually surpassed that energy, you know, that it has to come in one big sharp shock and blast us off the face of the earth. To be honest, I feel that that we're being constantly bombarded with light streams over and over and upgraded gradually. That's my take on and I think we're being supported by the Pleiadians and other benevolent races that are actually allowing the streams of energy, plasma, light codes, whatever you want to call it, to enter the planet at a rate that is manageable for our physical integration. So I think we're being supported from the high realms really by our own avatars, if you will, our own multidimensional self, you know.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I think too that if you look at, because God, I hate using these words because it gives, I want to be careful now the words that I use because it gives of the power it may give to whatever. But you know, if you want to use the word controllers, the 1% that had the secret esoteric knowledge years in advance, thousands of years in advance, which is why if you look at some of these prophecies, some of the prophecies as they were rewritten or modified, creating a program of a apocalypse, of a rapture, and I think that we have to be careful because even in these light worker circles, if we say there's going to be an event and there's going to be two groups of people and this and that, that is, and I think we've all of us have been programmed. Now we're learning to program ourselves, but there's still remnants of that running. So we got to be careful when we start talking about this doomsday crap, because it in itself is the power of suggestion, which has been utilized more than anything to control us just by implanting a thought, whether it be psychotropics, you know, into the head, or whether it be somebody talking, giving a sermon or whatever, and the doom and gloom stuff. But I think I'm with you. I think we're past it. I think it's coming it's coming in at a pace that we can actually take it on. And I think we are at a point too where I've said before, I think we need to start giving ourselves some credit, but there's no question that this period between whenever and the 21st is a period we received last night, which we were told last night was, you guys have done a great job. You've been doing the work, but right now you have an opportunity before you to really clean out the closet individually, and not as a do or die situation, but as a situation where you can gain the most from the opportunity that's presented itself.
That's what I feel for sure. And it was interesting at the 1212 event here. I just found that my channel was really amplified. The energies that came through were really clear. There was more clarity. And also, and it's interesting you talk about weather, you know. It feels like that came up in the workshop around actually the power of the group mind, you know, the power of the that it is really powerful for us to gather, whether it be online or whether it be through the ethers or whether it be face to face, to actually anchor these energies at these very potent portals, but also to amplify our own 12-strand DNA activation.
Yeah.
And at the same time, it's like I got that it's really time, the freedom codes. It's like there's this energy of liberation, like you were saying, in this period, and we're really being asked to move more into the fullness of who we are before the restrictions of our upbringing, before the restrictions of this matrix. And it's like, how much can we really let go of in this short period and actually surrender into the fullness of our sovereignty and our power? Because it's sort of like, I think it's now that we've done enough work that we've been, I feel, entrusted to have the recall of our full potential from, say, the Atlantean timelines, Lemurian timelines, so that we can actually be of further, if you want to call it positive impacts on the earth during this sort of purification of Gaia herself, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and you know, another thing that I was getting to that you bring up too is the power of a group mind. You know, I know years ago Napoleon Hill wrote Think and Grow Rich. He talked about the mastermind group, and there's been a lot of different ways that's been explained. But one of the things that happened last night, when we connected, we went through some stuff and some instruction that came from her higher self as we form like this triad energy. But when it was done, I had spent the night or earlier in the evening before we connected, I went outside and I heard, you are 100% light body now. You understand energy. You are energy. You understand everything around you is energy. And you can now start to transform anything and everything around you. Because I was saying, hey, I need, you know what? I need something. I need a little bit more. I need a little bit more direction, a little bit more understanding, you know, and I was kind of looking for, like, say, a particular divine essence or something, Merlin step in or something come in and show me something. So when this was done, and after we communed and she started to go into sleep state, I looked up in the room and this face appeared.
Wow.
Masculine face appeared right in front of my face. And there was more than one. First there was one, and there was another one. And what they were telling me was, I said, who are you? And then they said, there is no you, it's us. In other words, we're here to help you guys from a higher dimension, which could be seventh, sixth, seventh, eighth. We are actually a group, like a complex. So we're actually many different entities in one voice. And I thought that was really interesting. When you bring this up about the power of coming together like we do on this show, and when you have events and other things, because there's something that happens even if the conscious human doesn't get it all. There's some kind of soul exchange based on the intentions of our heart that's occurring that we may not understand or even ever get, but that it does happen.
Yeah, and it's as you say that, it reminds me what you were talking about before around the potentially two different timelines or whatever. I feel like what is happening is that we're really like you said, we are becoming. And that was another thing that came in at the 1212, like this ability to move through the dimensions through our chakra system, 12 chakra system as portals, and actually move into the different realms and locate in different realms while we still have this physical body through the Merkaba, through the light body consciousness transfer. And if we're in a group on this plane doing a piece of work in a room in Sydney or wherever, I feel like we have that consciousness potential to do what those guys did to you that night in their realm. And I think that's why we're so important to them at this time, is that we as physical forms, if we can do this here and transfer our location off planet, we're gifting back to them also this evolution that we're going through. You know?
Absolutely. Especially when you consider that we all made the choice to come into this realm with our memories swiped. You know, I mean, to be able to innately find each other and then connect and then expand in this heavy density. That's a huge offering, not just for us, obviously, but it's a huge offering of exchange for the universal family. Let's just put it that way. But you know, and people have another thing that's been coming up, and we've been talking about it, and it came up again today. It came up again last night. It came up again the night before. Is this dragon energy, and this dragon energy being very courageous, very strong, very wise, very loving, but something transformational about it that seems to be more available to all of us now. And the last thing I was going to say too, that this is where, to me, the macro becomes less important and the micro becomes all important. Because if I look around, even though with the changes that we've seen, like the five ladies, the young ladies in Finland, 35 and younger, that are leading each of the 5 parties. They have a 34-year-old female prime minister. You've got the prime minister that's a young female in New Zealand, another one in Ethiopia. You have the feminine energy being equalized with the masculine in Iceland. But still, I don't see a leader out there anywhere that is so in touch with their divinity, that is unafraid of death, that will say, you know what, here's what's really going on. I am a star seed. I am divinity. And this is really what's going on. Let me share with you the information that I know that's not being disclosed to the public. And let me tell you, this is what's happening, because that would be full of code. Now, we don't see that on the world stage, but we can see that with conversations like this, and through expressions in social media from people who are obviously in that 99.99%. But to me, that's where the gold is. It's time for us to own it, make a stand, and say, I am a star seed. I am a divine eternal being, and I have a particular mission or missions this go around. And let me share those with you, because I think when we tell that truth, when that truth frequency comes out, it lights people up and opens up code in other people.
For sure. I feel that over and over in the stuff that I do. I mean, the stuff that I do is really just whatever authentically comes through me in the situation with a group, but it does, just by the light codes that are transmitted, open people to their own consciousness, and open people to their own divinity and connection with their ancestors, galactic and of the earth. So it feels, I think that this will continue. I think I agree about the dragon energy. There's a lot of it around, especially in the groups I've been doing, that feels very encouraging and very mischievous and magical, really. It's sort of really helping us to come more into our courage of heart, and again on the strength of who we are and the cosmic power that we hold in our bodies, and expand, I think, our energy so that we can connect. I feel that I feel like the day is coming when there will be more overt expression on the world stage, but I still feel that we're gathering momentum as a community, and that there's a little bit of still a little bit of disturbance that would be too much for the average Joe if this sort of stuff was actually spoken about. And I don't know if it would just be a bit harmful for us as a community if it was actually outed right now, because there would be that sort of ridicule stuff and all that crap.
Well, no, I agree. Yeah, I agree with you. And that's been a hard pill for me to swallow, but I think
it is really.
Well, I think the reason it's been a hard pill for me to swallow is because, like, so many people that have come on the show talked about, oh, I thought everybody was like me. And, you know, as we were growing up, and as we were, you know, not always listening to what we were getting and not having confidence in it. But as I was actually watching a video last night that a video series a guy put out, pretty good video series about the law of one, because I never really sat down and listened and read the whole book or anything like that, because I don't do a lot of that. But I knew that I was drawn to it, and one of the things that he talked about was what I had just picked up on, which was that there is X number of people here. Let's just say X number of souls. And a group of those souls has come down here specifically from higher dimensions to incarnate, memory swiped, in order to facilitate this. Now, that group, which would be the group that's listening here and that are in these types of communities, would be the ones that would be more, would be more assertive, like where I'm saying, hey, somebody just spit it out there and talk about it. But you're right. The vast majority is who we came here to serve, and the vast majority could not. They're being spoon-fed this stuff now, so they can get used to it. I saw.
And I think if I looked back to my own childhood and I guess maybe other people, it's sort of like we were the ones that could see through the under the radar around things. I think even as kids, I think we had an awareness that was different, like more sensitized than many around us. So that enabled us to see through and remember more than like the people that maybe have a different consciousness or didn't come from a starseed origin or remember or programmed to remember so strongly. I think we have those missions that are to bring through this wisdom at this time to support the opening. I mean, I think in the long run, over time, there will be the awareness that everyone's starseed in the long run. In the long, but it's just how long that takes, I guess, is again dependent on the level of the level of suppression by the controlling energies, or how much the light is going to just blast on through and keep on blasting, and it will all unfold. It does feel that is coming, and that is continuing to come with the emergence of more truth, even if it's not the full truth.
So there's a couple of comments here. Let me give a shout out to Ray Miller. And if you want to come on, he said, Todd, if you see this, give me a shout out. Yeah, I appreciate your comments. And if you want to come on, get with Morgan and let us know. But Mike Myers, he says, as long as we believe the world isn't ready, then that will be our reality. I said what I said, and then there is a truth to that, because we have been put into a realm with memory swiped and all this conditioning of limitation. And so that's why I said earlier, I want to be careful what I say, because we've become that powerful where we're actually perpetuating consciousness or creating new paths of consciousness and higher realities and higher truths and higher experiences by the choice of our words. And that's why I say, to me, as of a few 2-3 weeks ago, and maybe even longer, but I really feel like, the message is coming stronger as we get into 2020, as we get past this solstice, that we will become the mainstream, that we will say, hey, I am a starseed. I am divinity. Forget starseed for a second. I am divinity. I'm eternal. You can't kill me. I am soul, and so therefore we have all this information. Enough of us are bringing it in. Enough of us have enough confidence in it. There's enough of a community built that we can actually come out here and speak our truth, and then say to ourselves, what do we do with it? Like, we're not just here just to wake up and say, oh, I am God, not to take anything away from it. We're actually here to expand something, which is really the base component in the base equation of the universe itself, which is to expand. It doesn't sit still.
It doesn't sit still. And I think that for sure, and I think that we have been fortifying the vessels with, like you were saying, you are light body, it's like we've been fortifying the physical, we've been clearing for eons, or it feels like that, we've been we're really primed now. Well, I feel to move into a new phase, and I think you're right. I think it is all about just what you can believe is the new potential for this planet, and and also in the same frame, I feel that everything is divinely timed.
Yeah.
Everything that we're going through, we're not sitting still. There is a momentum. We are moving forward. Sometimes not as fast as I would like, but you know, it is sort of, I guess, it's happening. It's happening.
Yeah.
Eh?
Yeah.
I'm just going to close the blind. Give me 1 second.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I love this comment by Jamie Wiley. There is even a science dedicated to the spooking of every generation. Thank God my dad taught me you can't bullshit a bullshitter. You must be from Texas, but no. But if you think about it, and for all the threads of truth that connect all philosophy, religion, so on, so on, there was a lot of propaganda, and we don't have to dig so deep in it. I'm just saying that these forecasts of end times, although energetically, just like the Mayan prophecy, they say was not about the end of the world. It was about the dawn of a new world, the end of the old world, which is what we're all going through. We're all going through these ego identity deaths, but that those were transplanted or imposed or embedded into the consciousness. And I think that's where we're starting to get to, is we're starting to get past the literal aspect and saying, why are people starving? Why is this happening? Why is that happening? And if we can look beyond that and look at everything as energy and as consciousness, and then start to understand what works against us, which usually really for all of us occurs right here, you know?
Yeah, for sure. In the, I think it is the purification of the mind, consciousness, and the individual person that is going to free the individual, and then free the collective. You know.
Yeah.
I think that's exactly it.
Now you have been. I know you're very active in your country, and I know you've also done some work outside the country. But I mean, I really love the idea of the hands-on stuff where we haven't been able to do a whole lot of that. We have done some, and it's always really cool to bring people together. Now I know you channel different essences, different consciousnesses.
Yes.
So do you have anything that you want to connect to today? Anything that's on your mind, or you want to just open up and see what comes in?
So let's just open up and see what comes, I guess. I feel that it feels like there is a sort of a frequency of Palladian energy. Some would say the Palladian collective, so similar to what you were saying earlier around different faces, different beings, in a cohort of energy that wishes to just support us, I feel, at this time. So I'll just maybe do a little bit of light language, just see what comes through, and then we can sit in that energy if you want. Yeah. Okay.
My crown's tingling, so something's happening.
So here we go. Yeah. So listen. With soft ears, we call to you. We are your ancestors. We seeded your earth. We are in your DNA. We are not separate from you. We are you. We come to you today with a message of hope and freedom. In this time of heightened awareness and expanded consciousness, You have the ability to switch on memory files, to activate codes of manifestation and creation. It is through the opening of your physical vessel and your Merkaba, that is also the 12 chakra system and the 12 DNA complexes in every individual cell, that you are able to bring through your memory and your innate sovereignty and starseed power protocols. We are simply speaking words to help you remember who you are. Now listen to this sound. This is for the DNA. So go into the cell, through the cell membrane, into the nucleus of the cell, into the DNA. Rest into that. And as I speak this language of light through this vessel from the Palladian frequency, it will activate the dormant coding, allowing an opening and an unfolding to begin in the DNA. These are awakening times. You are blessed and loved. You are held through the streams of all consciousness in all time space. And so it is. And so it is. And so it is. Amen.
So it is. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Somebody asked. Somebody asked earlier. I'm going to ask you. I know there's a lot of different ways to get to the same place, but I see quite a few people, and we've all been there. We look at people and we say, "Oh, Michael can do that," or "Someone can do this," and "Someone can do that," or "I can't do this," whatever. And the lady said, "I know I'm a starseed, but I don't know what my mission is."
Okay. So I think that's quite a common thing, hey? Especially when, if you're just moving into this kind of awakening stuff. And I didn't ever plan to be doing this stuff. It kind of just happened, yeah. I think, and it's evolved as my physical body has evolved and my consciousness is cleared. And so I think it's a step-by-step process, you know, and some people's missions are different to others. We're all on our own journey. You could simply be, and there's no better or worse, be resonating a frequency from your home planet as you walk through the world and imprint your energy on the ground. You know, there's not necessary that you have to be running groups or speaking light language or blah, blah, blah. I think it is an individual process, individual mission, and the energies that you transmit will be being transmitted regardless of what your role is. And it could be that your role is actually just to impact energetically those around you, just being you, which is still a powerful role.
Yeah. Yeah, we've had, and I can't remember because I do so many shows, but we had somebody on recently, and this is just to restate it another way what's been said over and over again, sometimes with numbers and sometimes with not with numbers. But their comment was that for every soul that's illuminated and aligning and really putting it out there, whether they're in front of people or not, they're affecting a million souls, a million souls around them. We received information last night that's not new to us or anyone else, just talking about the size of our field in human measurement terms, which is miles and miles and miles. So
Yes.
to your point, I like what you said. I like what your answer was, which was basically to align with your home planet or to align with what you resonate with from the other dimensions, however you want to put that, and just hold that energy. And it really, for me and for other people, it's not always even words and it's not even understood. I hear a lot of tones, and a lot of times I'll just shut up and align with the tone. And I know I'm getting something. I don't have to know what it is, but I also know that when I do that, it's impacting because it's going into the grid and it's impacting souls, you know, at least in my proximity. So that's a good point. We don't have to be on camera, and we don't have to be a famous writer or a famous person or a known person. You can actually do this thing. And so many people that have come on this show have done that for many, many years and never wanted to step out. Although I do
And you
think
know, I think it takes a lot of bravery to step out if that's what you're guided to do through your soul. But I also feel that the energies that as we all connect and even just join in this something like your show where we're all in a group mind consciousness. I mean, the reason that was powerful just then is because of all the people that were supporting this call. It's sort of like it's a combination of consciousness combining, and so I feel like that is also a gift and of service as we gather. Whether it's online in an interview situation or whether it's in a physical group, whatever, it is all collecting consciousnesses and doing pieces of work that help impact not only the earth grids but also the multidimensional aspects of ourselves. As we clear, feels really important to say, as we are clearing the deep, because I know so many people are going through very deep clearings at the moment, and it can be a bit bumpy at times, that as we clear some of the worst, darkest shadows in ourselves in this physical vessel in this time, we are really helping it be transformed all the way up the multidimensional avatar. So that allows timelines in other dimensions also to shift. This is why this is important, that we're doing the work we're doing on this physical planet.
Yeah, and I think too, somebody made the comment that missions change, or I would say missions evolve. And I think it's also important to remember that we pull down this stuff and everybody has their little piece of the puzzle, but for us not to become attached to anything, whether it's a past trauma, which we've learned to detach from, or it's something that we always stay open. We always stay open because we don't want to limit ourselves. That's what got us into this mess in the first place, is limiting what we are, who we are, and what we're a part of, you know?
And I really like the fact that I always like to think of it as sometimes part of us was switched off till it's the right time. And that we do a piece of work, we clear a piece of energy, we open to a new guide or a new system through the alignments that are happening astrologically. And then suddenly we're there. We're there in a new piece of awareness, and we have a new piece of remembrance. The mission changes, consciousness changes, and we carry on. I think that's the work, the ongoing sort of evolvement of the consciousness of ourselves and the planet. You know?
Well, the thing too is, I think it's a good time to take stock on where we've been and what we've accomplished, even if that accomplishment is just between you and the universe, and what traumas you've overcome, what healing that you've done. You know, I mean, we cannot underestimate what you're saying, which is we are impacting the universal as much as it is impacting us. In other words, I know even through recent communion that Morgan and I have had, particularly one night with the dragons, a couple of weeks ago. The dragon energy, the master dragon energy is what they identified themselves. It was December the 1st. They also told us that the war of the sexes energetically was over. And we saw a lot of evidence of that over the few days after that. But what they were saying is that they're learning from us or gaining from us. It's like a merging. That from what you talked about earlier, from what we're doing here in this thick density, the whole universal is gaining from it. So, you know, we are warriors. We are universal soldiers, and it doesn't feel like it, and it doesn't feel like it in the little minutia of the day and the little interactions that we have. But these are felt throughout the universe. So, it's a good time to be, you know, vigilant of our thoughts and obviously our words and actions, because that's the core of our power.
The Palladian. Yeah, the Palladians came to me this week, and I am doing a group for the solstice in Sydney. It's also available online. If people want to join me with that, they can just message me later or whatever. But I get that the solstice is also about us really celebrating here. It's like we've done a lot of good work, and as well as accessing this veil thinning and opening to new energies. Like there's also a time to take stock and say, wow, we've done bloody good work, you know, in the last little while.
We have.
And even though it is tricky at times, that we really are moving through a lot of stuff and transforming a lot of stuff. So I think that's really something to
absolutely. What the
feel
hell
grateful
is that?
for.
What is that I'm looking at behind you? What is that I'm looking at
What is
behind
that?
you?
Oh,
it's amazing.
All sorts of fancy.
Where did you?
It's just, I got that from your hometown. Well, not your from country anyway. Yeah. It's just a little galactic tapestry.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Just a little galactic.
So you're going to be in Sydney on the solstice.
I'm going to be doing a group live in Sydney on the 22nd. It's the 22nd here, so I think that would be your 21st. And I'll do it live in Sydney, but I'll also record it in a Facebook group. So if people wish to access that and watch it live or the replay, they can just hook up to it through the Facebook event. I'll put it in the info below this this interview.
Yeah, put whatever links in with that explanation in the comments.
Sure. But yeah, so it's it's pretty powerful times, hey? Pretty powerful times. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all good. Yeah. I think there's gonna be a lot of I think this next year is gonna be I think it's time we're stepping into a time of the superhuman, of the divine human, the supernatural human.
And I feel that, Todd.
I do too. I do too. And here's the way I look at it. If an individual believes it within themselves and they direct their energy in that fashion, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? they're going to be wrong, or just based on whether they, for lack of better, whether they succeed or fail, the energy and the intention of that energy is worth more than the result, the literal result or the human 3D result. Because when we step out, like you said, when we step out, and so many people are starting to step out now, because I think this is what we're supposed to do now. Other people are going to pick up on it and run with the ball. I see, for instance, these people creating their own shows, and I think that's the most beautiful thing. And I've said it many, many times. Pick up a phone, just start talking, do a live, just start talking, because there's power in the truth. There's no greater power than the truth. There's nothing else but the truth. And so when we can do that in this dense environment, this dense atmosphere, it carries enormous, ginormous repercussions throughout the universal. Did you want to take us out with a blessing or a prayer or anything, or anything you want to talk about?
Okay. So let us work with the dragons. Yeah,
Yeah.
let us wake up the dragons.
Right on.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So this is a blessing of wisdom for the heart. It's for courage, really. That just for the heart chakra, and it is just to remind us that we're going well, that we're on the right track, that we are supported by their energies to expand, and not really out of the 3D matrix, but out of our own mind matrix, out of the beliefs, the limiting structures, the pieces of self-sabotage, the old energies that we're brought in from all sorts of times and realms, that we are more than any of this energy that we have ever felt is us. And that if we allow and continue this energy to dissolve and let go, we will birth the human divine template. And that is unstoppable, is divinely powerful, and is innately pure in its intent.
You have one of the most unique light languages I've ever heard.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
That's very cool. So just a couple of things real quick. Let me just say this. One is almost a year ago, would be about 49 or 50 weeks ago, I announced to the world that we were going to have a multi-channel universal network that would be available on a handheld. We're working towards that. We have a beloved brother, the best friend I got besides Morgan,
Cool.
that's working on this. He's a freaking genius. I'm not going to mention his name right now because he's kind of shy, but
Sweet.
we're getting real close to that. So I'm not asking people for resources or anything. I'm just saying, please send your energy to Soulogy Network so that we can create in the physical this transmission of where everybody has a voice or an opportunity to express themselves, where we can pull all of our energy into one place in the physical, a URL address where we can take ownership of that traffic and be able to work with the resources and the abundance that come in by virtue of that, which is all based on the honor system and gifting it forward. If you would just send us your energy, we would appreciate it. We're getting a lot of help from the universal and from those incarnated. I just wanted to put that out there. And the other thing I wanted to say too, this is an excellent conversation, and it reminds me of one thing, and that is for myself, because every time I do one of these shows, it's a session for me, and that is for me to be very wary, not wary, but be very cognizant and aware, and stay on my toes in terms of my own judgment, in my own judgment of other people and of myself, because that's a clear indicator in these times where the universal energy is supporting us, of a place that we can heal and align very quickly and move past and elevate. So go easy on yourself and go easy on each other. And Michael, it's been too long. We'll have to do this again in the near future, after the first of the year, maybe in February.
For sure. I'll message Morgan. I'll do that.
Okay. Sounds good, brother. You take care. Thank you for your blessings and for your transmissions, channeling, and your conversation. Peace out, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Y'all take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.